Are you guys ready for your first storyteller? Okay. He's very tall. He hails from the Midwest. Please welcome Bryan Kett to the stage.
Hello? Cool. Okay, so I come from the Midwest. Yeah, as do a few of you, I guess. And in my circle of friends, monogamy just runs rampant back there. And when I moved out here, I wanted to meet someone special too. And so I decided to try online dating. And after about a week, I realized that all the women I was talking to were either prostitutes or robots trying to steal my banking information. And neither of them, that's not ideal. So I was just about to give up when I actually met someone online. And she was smart, and she was funny, and she was kind, and she wasn't a robot, and she wasn't a prostitute. She was perfect. And I wanted to seduce her and sweep her off her feet. And so we set a lunch date. And I decided to wear a new shirt that I had been saving for a special occasion. And like a gentleman, I offered to go and pick her up at her apartment in the valley. And so after about an hour and a half on the 5, I arrived. And when she got in my car, I was blown away. Because if Disney's Aladdin were ever to be adapted to live action, this girl would be cast as Princess Jasmine. She was quite stunning, quite intimidating. And so she picked the lunch spot, and we went there, and we were sitting down, and I was eating my really expensive salmon salad, because I thought that would look refined or something, when I realized how little we had in common. And it was just small subtleties. It was, she adored cats, and I'm severely allergic. She loved country music, and I prefer actual music. And so little things here and there. And in spite of all this, though, I really thought we could make it, like she could be the one. We could be just like a romantic comedy, just like a couple of opposites, attracting. And I really felt this. And so when we were leaving, we were walking to my car, and she said the last thing that I expected to hear on a first date. You want to get out of here and head to an animal shelter? And I looked at her and I said, what does that mean? And she clarified. She said she wanted to go to an animal shelter and look at all the animals. And I didn't know really what to think, but I thought being open to a new situation would be really sexy or something. So I said, yeah, of course I want to go do that. And so because she grew up in the area, she directed me how to get there turn by turn, and eventually we arrived, and we walked in, my allergies kicked in, and my face just swelled shut. Looked like I was stung by a bunch of bees or something. And I stood in this room with cages stacked floor to ceiling, just squinting at her, that's all I could do, as she walked around softly cooing and trying to pet each animal through the bars, and it was endearing. And in that moment I thought, my allergies could work. I could take pills for the rest of my life, and they could be our allergies, and this was it. We were gonna make it. But then she became irate, just rigid with anger, and I said, what's wrong? And she said, it's Misty. And again I said, what does that mean? And she clarified, Misty was her childhood cat that still lived at her parents' house in the area. And I looked in the cage and I saw a cat that looked like every other cat I've ever seen. And before I could even talk reason into her to say, let's just think about this for a second, she already had her mom on speakerphone. And she said, Mom, where's Misty? And her mom said, Misty's at home. And I was like, good, let's put this to bed. But she didn't believe that. Okay, so she called her dad and asked him the same question and got the same response. But then she pushed him a little more and told her dad that she was at an animal shelter looking at a cat that looked an awful lot like Misty. And when she told him that, he caved. He said he dropped Misty off at some random shelter. He was going to say Misty just ran away, and that he was so very sorry, but he hated Misty. This didn't land well with her, and she just broke down sobbing. And we went to go talk to the shelter manager, but now both of us had these red, swollen, puffy faces as we approached him. And the shelter manager told us that because Misty was admitted in less than 48 hours ago, because they have this quarantine on all recently admitted animals, she couldn't be released. There's nothing we could do. And so we left. And so we got back in my car, and I just started driving just to fill this gaping void. Well, she got on her phone and started screaming to her sister in Farsi, presumably about what their father had done, but I don't know. I don't speak Farsi, not much anyway. And the only words I could really understand were these gritty, graphic, horrific words that would be more appropriate coming out of the mouth of someone in a gritty prison drama rather than out of the mouth of Princess Jasmine. And so, in that moment, it seemed less like a romantic comedy. And so we're driving, but because she directed me on how to get there, I didn't know where I was going. So I had to keep reaching over and interrupting her and saying, "Excuse me, do you want me to turn? Do you want me to go straight?" And when she lashed out at me and screamed at me for being insensitive, I began to think that, maybe we weren't going to make it. And so I eventually dropped her back off at her apartment, and when I did, true to form, she said the last thing that I expected to hear. She said, "We should do this again sometime." And I was thinking, given everything that just transpired, what did that mean? And so driving home on the 5, I had a couple hours to reflect on everything. And even though my eyes were still so very swollen, I had gained new perspective. She wasn't the one, and that was okay, because when I got home, maybe I give those robots and prostitutes one more chance. Thanks.